Alright guys, it's a bright sunny day. Today I'm just going to discuss something that I decided to give a try, and it surprisingly worked, and it has to do with my motor mount that has been driving me insane. Basically, anytime I stop at a red light or a stop sign while I'm in drive, the car vibrates like crazy. Even worse, with the AC on, I have to put it in neutral to get the vibrations to go down. Initially my transmission mount helped out, but the motor mount eventually just overcame the issue. So I'm gonna get started and showing y'all what I did. Alright guys, under the car, I don't know how well you can see that, I have the jack on the exhaust pipe. I have the bolt just past that red wire. By the way, it's a ground that I added, it's not a power wire. That bolt I loosened up, that's for the motor mount. The motor mount on the driver's side, surprisingly after 20 something years, is still in great condition. I cannot wiggle it. I loosened it up, there's no play in it. It's pretty solid, I'm very surprised. But I had to take the oil filter off, that's what all this paper is, to get to that, so I could grab it and wiggle it. Now the point of this is that's a two-piece design with rubber in it. Now let me get over here. Alright, I don't know how well y'all can see this, but this is the passenger side. There's the bolt right here at the end of my finger. You gotta go through a hole over here to get to it. But once I got that out, I could put my hand up in here and wiggle it. Now you might see all that black stuff. That is urethane. I didn't really record doing this because I didn't have much faith that it would work. But basically I took window weld and I shot it in every crevice of that mount that I could get to. Yeah, I made a bit of a mess, but I don't really care. This was supposed to be a temporary fix. But I'm thinking this is in for the long haul. This is great. It is solid. The passenger side mount takes all of the brunt pretty much when you get on it. It's the side that lifts. It's the side that slams down after you lift. It takes a lot of the abuse. 90% of the abuse, from what I understand. So I did the procedure that I'm showing you on the driver's side. I loosened that up. I put a jack on the exhaust and barely jacked it up. You don't want to dent your exhaust, just jack it up just barely to take pressure. It's going to lift only one side of the engine up by doing that. And you're going to get to that, loosen that up, and you should be able to grab the mount itself and wiggle it around. If you can, it is bad. So like I said, I got the window weld and I went into every crevice I could get. I was wearing gloves. I put a big pile on my glove. I packed it in every little hole, everything that I can get. I let it dry for probably 2 hours, 3 hours, and I came out and I could poke it and I can tell it was fairly dry, but it wasn't 100%. So at that point I tightened this back up and then I lowered the exhaust. What that did is kind of put that pressure back on it and sandwiched it, and then I let it dry for about 2 more hours. This stuff is solid. I'm talking way harder than rubber, which will produce a slightly harsher ride than the rubber mounts because urethane is stiffer. So in essence, I have a urethane mount on one side and a rubber mount on the other side. But since that side's so hard to get to, I'm not even worried right now. But when I would turn on my AC, my engine would vibrate so bad at red lights that I had to put it in neutral. It did it even worse before I replaced the transmission mount, and I thought that was going to be the problem solver, and it stopped for a little bit. But then that mount, I guess because that was fixed, it was amplified up here. And I know I'm just rambling at this point, but I think this is very beneficial to some people to know that if you get underneath there and you pack that with urethane, let it dry and do it right, it will fix it. I can get in the car, I foot on brake, sitting at a red light, AC full blast, I barely get any sort of vibration at all, and the only little bit that I happen to get is just because this is urethane and not rubber anymore. Alright guys, I want to discuss how that's what that essentially is doing. So when you inject the stuff, this is what the motor mount looks like. It is a two-piece design. You got this piece that goes through and this piece that goes over. It's called a clamshell design. It looks like that. Well, in between each piece, the clamshell, this is the bottom side, that's the bolt that goes into the frame. This is the side that goes onto the block. There's rubber on both sides on the factory one. This is a urethane mount, but I did this picture because it's red and you can see where it goes. So this is the bottom side, this is where that goes to the engine. This side is that part right there. So all of this black rubber right here, it wears out because this is a two-piece design. This is what they call the clamshell. This piece right here moves up and down, and this rubber deteriorates in the top and the bottom. What I did is, by loosening this up and lifting the engine up on one side, it opens the spaces up, and then I filled all of this space with urethane, essentially making my own urethane mount. This is what it looks like on the engine. Now, of course, you have to use your imagination, but the opening is right through here. See that right there? So that's where that is on the block. That's what that is right there. That's the two that goes on the block. You can see the opening. Essentially, it'll fill in all these spaces. It'll make a pad of urethane after it dries. This method has been used for a long time. You can see right here, this is on a front wheel drive car. This is a stock motor mount that he's filling in the voids with this to strengthen it. I've seen people drill these out, just leaving enough to keep that centered, filling all that in with urethane. But this has been going on for a while. Before they had urethane mounts available for everything, this is how they used to do it. A lot of the import guys, some of the V8 domestic guys, they would take the motor mounts out, they would drill holes all around, fill it full of urethane, or they would, like I said, just leave a little strand of rubber holding that middle piece and then fill all that in with urethane. You gotta let it dry. The one downside to this is urethane is tougher than rubber, so you will get a little bit more engine vibration. It is not much at all. I don't notice it, and my wife is very surprised how smooth it is. My daughter, 10 years old, she noticed it was much smoother. So I'm a firm believer in this right now. Like I said, I don't know how long it's going to last, but it's already been 3 days and it's held up great. So again, all you're doing is essentially filling this in. The driver's side is a pain in the butt to get to, but my driver's side was good. The passenger side takes 90% of the force, if not more. So I just went, this is the passenger side by the starter, and I just filled all of these voids in. It's going to be messy, but it's worth it in the end. Alright guys, so I hope y'all understand that. I tried to go into a little bit more depth, showing you the pictures, because some people might not understand what exactly is you're trying to do with it. It's been around for quite a bit, like I've mentioned before, but hopefully just by going into detail a little bit more, it's a little bit more understanding for people that has never done it, has never seen it, never heard about it. Not meant to be a cure for anything. It is not meant to be a replacement for your motor mounts, even though it could be, because people run it all the time and people do it all the time. Again, this is Horseplay. Thank you for watching.
I won't turn around, I done made it this far. Look back now, that would be too smart. Shoot for the stars even when it gets hard. Put my faith in the Lord with the 60 bars. I won't turn around, I done done made it this far. Look back now, that wouldn't be too smart. Shoot for the stars even when it gets hard. Put my faith in the Lord with these 16 bars, I won't turn around. I won't